My name is Isabel Pless. I am an artist and a songwriter. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee right now. I moved there about a year and a half ago. It was either Nashville or LA. Honestly, LA was really far away and really expensive. Nashville also just has a really strong songwriting scene, and that's something that is a core identity to my music, so it felt like a good fit. I loved growing up here in Vermont. I think it's just such a community-based state, obviously, being so small. I think especially coming from like a kid who just loved music and art, this was a place that I felt like really fostered that. And being around nature all the time was a really beautiful thing too. I went to Mount Mansfield Union High School, and I'm from Jericho, so I went to all the Jericho public schools. I sort of just did music like in my free time, although I was really big into poetry and creative writing, so I did the Bread Loaf program when I was a junior. I attended Governor's Institute of the Arts in 2016. It was my first time being away from home for 2 weeks, so I remember that being really big. And it was also the first time that I was surrounded by people who like art was their thing, and I just remember feeling really supported, and like it was a place to experiment that I think was really valuable to me at 16, when I was really just starting to figure out how to express myself with music and what was important to me. I did the songwriting class, and then I did the lighting design class, which was out of left field. I think I was going to do the poetry one, but it filled up. So lighting design was my backup, but it was actually really interesting. Like, it was not something I thought I would ever find interesting, but yeah, there's a whole different side of the arts that I'd never explored. It certainly was an exercise in like making friends, because you're there for 2 weeks and you don't know anybody. I think that it really sort of solidified how much value art has in my life, and I think in a lot of people's lives, and what a valuable source of self-expression it is. And what a bonding, like that was such a bonding 2 weeks. You're forming a pretty tight connection with these people because there's only like 100 of you, and you're all sort of cheering each other on as you're like trying new things. So when I was at GIV, Francesca came into my songwriting class and sort of talked with us about what she does, and she played us a few songs. And I'd heard of her before, so I was like, oh my God, it's Francesca Blanchard. And then in April 2022, she asked me to open for her at one of her shows at Higher Ground, which is a very special moment. So it felt very full circle. I was like, wow, this is a GIV moment happening. I'm primarily like singer-songwriter sort of focused music. I do a lot of songs that are really lyric heavy, so a lot of the time I'm focusing on like thoughts, feelings. They're very sort of inward focused. I draw a lot of inspiration from like folk music. There's also a lot of, it's mostly pop. And so I do almost all of the songwriting by myself, but then I work with producers to craft the full song. I'm working on an album, so that's sort of the big project for me. So I feel like a lot of them aren't out yet, but there's a song called Little Life that is like really angry, and I'm not usually like a super angry person. So it's a very fun song to sing live, because people usually react very strongly. And it was a fun one to write also. The album is basically about my life in between graduating college and then sort of moving away, and it's covering sort of the transitional period of my life. It's called Workhorse, so it's about my tendency to get really obsessed with being a perfectionist and burying myself in work instead of working through my thoughts and feelings. I went on tour in spring of 2023, so of this year, with Henry Jameson and Donovan Woods, and that was the best experience ever. It was my first tour, and I just love playing shows, so it was really eye-opening and awesome to do 15 shows across the whole country for like a month. And I think my main goal is to do this as long as possible. I'm aware that it's not a traditional job, and also it's not the most secure field, but I think as long as I can keep making music that I'm proud of and that I feel like represents me as a human being and hopefully speaks to other people as well, I'll be so happy and fulfilled. So,
what advice would you have for young people who want to create music?
I would say don't be afraid to experiment. I think the only way that you're going to learn what works for you and then also, make something new and original is if you experiment and sort of play around with stuff. I got into this career field because of TikTok, so it wasn't expected, and I think if you're feeling up to it and you're feeling secure, put your music out there and see what happens. I have utilized the delete button many times. I think that that's a useful tool if you change your mind ever. But I think the thing that worked the best for me was when I went, okay, I've been doing this for myself for 10 years or so, but I wonder what other people would think of it. And then that's how I got a career out of it.
Is there a ghost living in my apartment? 'Cause heaven knows I've been feeling haunted by your voice, by your scent, all these empty promises. Is it you or just my sixth sense?